podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show, talking to landscape photographers about their motivations, likes and dislikes. Harry Dinnen is a photographer, explorer and director of photography known for capturing the wild spirit of nature. His work spans outdoor, travel, nature, surf and lifestyle photography, often set against powerful, untamed landscapes. With deep belief in promoting the preservation of wild places, Harry uses his images and social media presence to inspire others to explore the outdoors and reconsider humanity's relationship with the natural world. His journey into photography began at 16 with the Pentax K20D, sparked by the influence of his grandmother, an avid photographer. After exploring paths in industrial design, defence and furniture design, Harry returned to photography full-time, bringing a unique blend of creativity and structure to his work. He shares stories of photographing remote locations like Namibia and Iceland, emphasising his love for long exposures, panoramas and the thrill of working in extreme environments. Harry also reflects on the importance of personal projects, careful planning and collaboration with fellow creatives. His dedication to storytelling through visual media, combined with a strong sense of adventure, shapes a portfolio that is both evocative and purposeful. I hope you enjoy the show. G'day, Harry. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm good, Grant. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. Thanks for joining us. It's great to put a face to the name and to actually get to meet you, even if it is only virtually.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with who Harry Dinnen is?
Yeah, you could say landscape photographer, but also assistant cinematographer. I've worked on quite a few docos and landscapes, wildlife. Yeah, you name it. I shot it.
Nice.
Yeah. Do a lot of different things.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think, so photographer, but industrial designer
Okay.
yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I started obviously shooting when I was 16, but I really enjoyed industrial design. So studied that and got my master's, and then ended up going into defense design. So I was working.
Don't talk too much about that then.
I know. I was working on the submarines for a period there.
Oh yeah.
Moved to Melbourne and was doing furniture design for a couple of years there, and then decided it wasn't for me. So back to photography.
Okay. So you're a full-time photographer now?
Yeah, we do a lot of TVC commercials, product, that sort of stuff. And then, worked with a few directors and DPs for documentary work as well.
Cool. So you started at 16. What was that like for you in terms of what was it about photography and particular landscape photography that drew you in?
So I'd say I got my first SLR. It was a nice Pentax K20D. But so that was when I first got my first SLR. But I started shooting film before that. And so my grandma's quite an avid photographer and still is. The age of 96, probably knows more about Photoshop than I do, which is, so at 16, we're just like doing corporate events and then the occasional wedding. And then I was like 18, 19, that's when I started doing design and it dropped off a little bit. But kept with the film photography. I've probably been shooting that for over 25 odd years. So just landscapes, people, family, like that's that side. And then, I took that break while I was doing industrial design. And then when I was 26, stepped back into the corporate work and landscapes and whatnot.
Awesome. And where did it start as art for you? Was that always an intrinsic part of your photography, or were you just doing what several people I've spoken to do, which is start out as a documentary photographer, for want of a better term, where you're just documenting stuff on your travels or family and so forth. But then they go, this is actually an artistic pursuit. So it's a step further than just documenting that shot.
Yeah, so I guess documenting the family holidays we went on as a kid. But then, when I started taking it a bit more like seriously artistic side of things. It actually started off as long exposure photography. So that nighttime, and then I stepped into the realm of NVs and started doing those longer exposure daytime stuff, which is probably where I caught a little bit of traction 2018, 2019. Yeah, back then. But yeah, I'd say it's a mix of everything really, from portraiture, wildlife, landscape, and just whatever captured my interest really. So yeah, that's where I took it. Yeah, that direction after stopping shooting film for a little bit there once I got my first SLR.
Sure. I want to talk a little bit about influences and inspiration. Where do you get inspired? Is it people, places? Is it something that happens? What inspires you?
So it'd be a mix of people, places, and the format that I'm shooting on. Yeah, I'd say start off with the people first. The people that really inspire me are like Danny Singer and Richard Moss. Yeah, Richard Moss is quite an interesting photographer, documentary. He's done quite a lot of stuff in Amazon and prisoner camps, and the medium he shoots on back in like 2019. He had a big showing at our exhibition at the NGV, which was very impressive. So he was shooting on the old aerochrome that they used in Vietnam. So yeah, it turned all those greens like a form of red or purple, pinks. Yeah. And then Richard Moss, very talented, like panoramic landscape photographer, if you will, but it's not so much one position and pan. He moves the camera across. No. It's like everything has this flat perspective. So he does he did a lot of townships in rural US.
Yeah.
They were incredible to see, blowing up like 6-7 meters, and the detail was phenomenal as well. And then in terms of like documentary work, there's probably quite a few, but in terms of landscape and wildlife, it would probably have to go to James Baylog. He's a very good documentary maker. He did Chasing Ice, which is probably one of my favorite documentaries, I would say.
Where was the first landscape that actually caught your attention and said, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life?
It'd probably have to be Tasmania or New Zealand. But probably the most incredible trips we've done is through Iceland, Namibia, and Indonesia. That was Indonesia and Iceland were like incredible. Just the way we did it off the beaten track. We're not spending time in Bali. It was through like Western Central Java and Eastern Java, and then we went over to Flores and a few other places. Yeah, that's probably it. It's the landscape combined with the culture, I would say. Yeah.
And is it that sense of adventure that sort of gets the juices flowing? Because it sounds like going into Central Java, that's, as you say, off the beaten track. It's not where the average Aussie tourist goes.
No, we had
a drop in Bali somewhere.
No, we had quite a few funny experiences in Central Java, but in places where no one speaks English and we're trying to get from point A to point B, and that becomes the more memorable sides of the trip. It's like how to actually get places and navigate your way through these like remote parts of Java. So I'd say for me, like the sense of adventure and the camera is just there. So I think I enjoy doing things that obviously a lot of people go to Iceland, but the way we did it and the places we went to, just following that ring road around, basically. We obviously did that ring road, but in the West Fjords and like up north as well, where it's a bit more remote, that's what's special to me about photography, is it can take you to places that not many people would go to.
And how did you go about organising trips like that? Because you can't just turn up to Flight Centre or a travel agent and say, all right, book me a tour around here.
No. So a lot of the planning, for Indonesia specifically, that was one of our producers. She was incredible, planning and doing all that stuff. Hats off to her. But for Namibia, because we were self-driving and there were some places we stayed, which we did some work for. Sure. Very lovely places to stay. But it's just yeah, lots of emails, planning, and yeah, a lot of these people, especially like the aerial photography that we do, yeah, we just chat with the pilots or reach out to hotels because they always have activity centers and people who are very passionate about the areas, whether you're staying there or not, just a phone call or like back and forth emails, and they will generally give you a good idea. So just reaching out, it doesn't hurt. So
Definitely not. In terms of projects, do you treat these sorts of trips as a project, or are you doing that more organically? As you say, the camera just happens to be there and you're going off on these adventures.
I guess it depends. For Indonesia, we had a few jobs to do. It was pretty small stuff. It didn't really require too much planning. So that was more product work and accommodation. So we can do that very quickly. Namibia was a little bit bigger because we had accommodations, like we were shooting for the car rental. And then we had products on top of that as well. Namibia was like, I just wanted to go there for a while, but the cost of that place and the way we did it was very expensive. So we had to have some income based off, offset that income and
Yeah.
back as well. It's like a planned trip, but also it's places we want to travel to. And luckily we have a good client base that is interested in the places we go to and how we capture them. Yeah.
Nice. I guess let's talk a little bit about that kind of work, because I think, how did you get started in that line of work where you're teaming up with products or teaming up with companies to highlight their work, highlight their products, and how did you put together that business plan to be able to have the freedom to travel where you want and take the photos you want whilst also earning some money?
Yeah. So I guess it's the people that I've shot with in these places. Yeah, we just teamed up and started working with clients. So it's not necessarily myself doing the pitching, it's them. So it's a big team that sort of comes together, and there's places that we want to go, and we get products in and shoot them at these places. And I think it takes a lot of like-minded people to do this well. If you're spending a month sleeping in a car together, essentially, it's you really need to be on the same page. And I think that's one of the interesting things in photography in general. It's a lot of photographers will go to these places with either friends and just shoot, whereas we'll go with some sort of plan and capture the landscapes that we want, all the stories that we want, and then we also get these clients in. It helps being surrounded by like-minded, driven people, which is
definitely. You talked a little bit about planning and shooting the places you want. Are you putting a lot of planning in? How do you connect with a place before you photograph it?
So there'll be several ways. Obviously, searching through Instagram and finding the exact locations and areas that you would like to shoot. But so you take Namibia, that was probably about 3 months, 4 months of like proper planning and chatting to pilots and people and organizing to get into these places. One of the areas we went to, Damaraland in Namibia, that's where the majority of the desert adapted rhinos are. And it's one of the things I've always wanted to photograph, is that I think there's about 26 left in this area, and it stretches. It's probably bigger, just this small area, than the state of Victoria. Yeah. A lot of space and not many rhinos. And so just planning with those people, like figuring out a number of days and the hours that we need to be out there. And it paid off, because we actually got to see probably one of the only rhinos there with both its horns, and we actually got to see a baby as well, which we were chatting with one of the guides, and he's been doing it for 15 odd years, and he said he'd never seen that many rhinos or a baby in that short amount of time.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. Planning does pay off, so it's well worth spending a lot of time planning. But then I've done trips where I just rock up to a place and get in the car and drive around. So I guess it just depends on if we have client work and if I just want to enjoy the place rather than spend the entire time thinking about where I need to be next or whatnot.
Which do you prefer?
I enjoy both. I think the planned side, you probably come away with better shots and you still get those same experiences as just your place. But then, with an unplanned trip, it's a lot more sense of freedom. You find yourself in, some fun and interesting situations. And you generally come away with a lot more personal stories. And sometimes can make it more memorable. But I enjoy both, really.
Yeah, nice. What role does personal expression play in your photography, and how do you see yourself infusing your own vision into both the corporate work that you're doing, but also your own personal work?
I guess for my own personal work, it would be a combination of the place itself plus how I remember it. That could be inspired by other people as well, and colors and moods and whatnot. But then obviously editing and shooting for the weather and the scenario. Yeah, I guess, it just comes to how I felt when I look back on those scenes. And then with corporate work, it would be a mix of obviously my style and how I edit, but also you have to edit to the brand as well.
Yeah.
We do have a bit of freedom when it comes to editing, and the clients we work with are great. They're very happy with.
They're also coming to you because they like the style that you've got. So
that's right. But sometimes, you have to tone it down a little bit, and you can't really.
It's not necessarily right on brand for them. Yeah.
But there's brands which we've started shooting for, and they've completely adopted our style, and they'll just keep coming back to it. And it's nice because we can see, obviously they're doing a lot of social media work, but it's nice when you go to their website or their page and you see a lot of your work, plus also I guess their metrics are going up in terms of followers and
nice.
So it's.
How do you deal with the situations when it goes the other way, where they want you to do something that you go, I don't feel right about it?
We haven't really, when we've had those things, it's just minor stuff. It's, not really that whole edit or grade itself. It's some minor things. I think the only really clients I've had that dislike edits would probably have to be wedding couple.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I've had ones whereas my mother's hair was curly at the start of the day, and it's not, can you make the entire video have her hair curly? And I was like, no.
Wow.
It's a lot of editing, a lot of CGI. It's, in terms of commercial work, we really haven't had, anything like that, which is nice. I think, we have a lot of chats with the clients before handing over the work and give them little snippets, and they're always thrilled.
Nice. How much of your success do you attribute to your ability to communicate?
I would say quite a bit. I haven't done workshops at all, but just the stuff I've done with Sony, it was honestly just, I think, my knowledge base and being happy to share it, sharing my experiences. It partially was the photography, but I think it's explaining process and everything from planning all the way to post-production. It's, a lot of people are quite intrigued, about that. The talks I've done, that's where most of the questions, really came from. It's like, how do I plan and how do I edit? And then the shooting is, I think so.
Let's talk a little bit about the editing while we're there. What kind of things are you looking for in an image first off? And then what are you actually doing to it? Are you spending 10 minutes, an hour, a week on an image? I'm talking about your personal work here, not so much the corporate stuff, because I know the turnaround times on that can be really tight.
For personal stuff, I guess it varies depending on the image and what I want to get out of it. With the long exposure stuff, I used to do a lot of focus stacking and exposure blending. One of those photos could take anywhere between an hour and 2 days to, not consistently, but spend a couple of days just fiddling with it and leave it and then come back to it with fresh eyes. The panoramic work, which I used to do, that could we're talking about a 90 image panorama, which is, shot at.
Just in processing time, that's going to take a while.
Yeah, the files ended up being somewhere like 20 or 30 gigabytes plus. So that like anywhere between a couple of weeks to a month, just trying to get the stitching right. And have to go and do the editing as well. But with the recent stuff, probably no more than an hour, half an hour maybe. I guess it's the way my photography has progressed as well. There isn't so much focus stacking or exposure blending. It's just capturing the moment and editing it.
I'm interested in the big pano stuff. Are you doing edits after you've done all the stitching, or do you get the images to a point in the edit before stitching? Just interested in the way people do that.
Yeah, when I was doing that, it would be a mix, just like balancing exposure.
Yeah, because that's always an issue in a very wide pano, is you're going to have bright light towards where the sun is and less light at the other end of the pano. So how do you get that balance right?
Yeah, so I would do the balancing and whatnot before I started the stitching.
Yeah.
And like put it into Photoshop, stitch it manually together, and then I would do all the adjustments. Once it's stitched. So if I'm just changing colors, temperature, contrast, blacks and whites, that would be together. So just balancing to make it neutral before, and then the cinematic side, if you will, would be after.
What about when you get back from a shoot? Are you straight into an edit and picking the shots that you want to play with, or do you leave things for a little while and come back to them after you, I guess, come back to them with fresh eyes?
I guess the photos, if I go somewhere for 2 weeks, I might get somewhere between 10 and 20 like perfect images, and they're the ones I'll pull aside while I'm actually on a shoot and maybe just get a quick look, do a quick edit essentially, and maybe post a story or whatnot like that. But then I would save the actual proper editing for when I'm home. But the large majority is a couple of months after. So I probably should post a lot more than I do. I've probably got about, I can see, like 453,000 photos on my Lightroom catalog at the moment. It's very slow.
I don't use the Lightroom catalog at all, simply because I know I've got about 6 terabytes of images. And if I try to load that in as a catalog, my computer, it's a fairly old one, it's due for an upgrade, it would just keel over. So I don't use that. So I got no idea exactly how many. I just know around about 6 terabytes is the number.
No, I've got quite a few, but it's a daunting number to go through. But it's nice because there's the landscapes I've shot and then the moments in between fun stuff with the team. So it's always nice looking back through trips I've shot. So
what does success look like for you in your photography?
I guess that's a interesting question. I'd say there's a lot of different factors which I would say would determine success. So I guess I would like to direct my own doco or short at some stage. There's a lot of things that need to come together for that to happen. But I would say I'm pretty successful now. I'm doing what I want to doing what I want to shoot, and having fun doing it and shooting with a great team. So I guess like that metric of success is as long as I'm having fun, going where I want to go, and making money as well, then that's success for me. Whether it's not, we don't get to pick and choose every single job. Sometimes there's jobs, I wouldn't say I don't want to do them, but I don't get as much enjoyment out of certain work. But in just being able to travel freely and make money while working with friends, that's success for me.
Sounds like a good life.
It has its ups and downs. I wouldn't say it's exactly luxurious. Our first trip to Iceland, it was 4 people plus all the gear in a RAV4. That's definitely not comfortable, and I wouldn't recommend it.
Not to sleep.
Yeah, sleeping like I'm sitting right now, essentially. So yeah, it's about a month. But with places like Iceland being expensive as they are, and wanting to spend a long amount of time there, that's honestly one of the only feasible ways to do it. Otherwise, it's tens of thousands of dollars you're looking at.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It's not a cheap place to visit.
No, it isn't. But I think also as well that that's the side that makes it enjoyable to me. It's just, yeah. If we went to Iceland together, like we take that first trip again and we'll stay in nice hotels, and it takes away a bit of the enjoyment, I think. Whereas a little bit of being uncomfortable, plus also sleeping under the stars or wet in the car, and yeah, it's like a very close bonding experience. But you come away with more stories, more memories, and yeah, out in nature a lot more. So I think.
I imagine you find it really stimulating doing that sort of collaboration where there's a bit of interdisciplinary work going on with documentaries and filmmaking mixed in with the photography. How does that feel for you? And have you ever looked at other forms of art like painters or musicians or something and looked to collaborate with any of them?
I guess like I have done, it wouldn't be photography work, but it's helping artists with like using photography tools. So, whether it's like time lapse painting type work. So I would say I've collaborated with artists, not so much musicians. Yeah. Before I got into photography, I was actually a roadie for a little bit. So lighting, a very toxic environment. But yeah, would say I've collaborated with a few artists, but whether it's them painting my work or helping them with a exhibition, installation, whatnot, nice. That would be that.
And how do you think landscape photography has helped you grow or change as a person?
I wouldn't say it's photography itself. I think it's the situations that I've put myself in due to photography and TV work. Yeah. You can take anything from Indonesia or Namibia, but there was a few situations there, whereas you need to have your head screwed on a little bit and be a bit more aware about what's going on. They're not dangerous places, but if you're lugging around a lot of camera equipment, it can become a bit sketchy. But I just think it's the places I've been to due to photography that has made me grow as a person, I guess, and a bit more understanding. We were far north Namibia, and there was we were visiting quite a few of the like Himba tribe up there. So for photography work, but it turned into just a long conversation with them, and we didn't actually really take too many photos. We were just talking about life. Obviously, having a translator there because they don't speak English, but I think that is like the more special side of things for me. We actually have very similar lives despite the living situations. So same problems and same, I think that's probably where I've grown as a photographer and a person, more as understanding your subjects that you're shooting. Some people might just blow in there and get them to pose and just photograph and leave. Whereas I think the special side of it for me was actually, having a long conversation with these people.
Yeah, but actually spending time with them.
Yeah. And it's, quite interesting. It's the same humor. And so it's nice actually sitting down and chatting with your subjects and whatnot. That was more of a memorable one because we, spent quite a bit of time with them, and it ended up just being chatting and conversations rather than a lot of photography work and getting them to pose. We got some great photos, but I think like having conversations with them, and there's like one of the girls there had a leg infection, and we were treating that a little bit, and then it became a bit more like just friends photographing friends, and they became a lot more comfortable around us, I think. So we got a lot more of a personal interaction, which is nice.
Awesome. What's your most memorable shoot and where was it?
Oh, It would, there's a few. It'd either have to be Namibia or Tonga, I would say.
Yeah.
Or Iceland. There was like, yeah, a few memorable moments, but not so much the photography side of things. I'd probably say the most special moments I've had while photographing would probably have to be Namibia when we were with the rhinos.
Yeah.
Also Tonga last year. We actually were quite lucky, and you've probably seen it. We got to see that albino humpback whale.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was like, yeah, one of the most incredible things I've seen. So we weren't, like, the island we were staying on set some rules that you weren't actually allowed to swim with it, because on the other islands they had been chasing this thing to photograph it. But yeah, then it came to where we were, and yeah, we just let it do its thing, watched it from the boat. I got a couple of drone shots, but
Nice.
yeah, in and out within like about a day. So yeah, it was honestly just one of the most incredible things to see.
Yeah.
Also, just photographing humpback whales in general. I've done sharks and whatnot, but yeah, free diving with these huge things underwater is, yeah.
They're incredible. Yeah.
Ones. And then, yeah, in terms of like TV work, we've done like a few documentaries, and just the process, and the person we were shooting had an incredible story. He's a 96-year-old pro tennis player from the Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
A lot of stories, and yeah, it's great listening to him, really.
Fantastic. What about sketchy experiences? What's the worst experience you've had while out shooting?
Or we had a run-in with a couple of elephants in Namibia. That was coming back from a shoot at night time, and we were driving through dried up riverbed, and yeah, I could see the elephants on the right-hand side of the bank, and then there was a couple on the left as well, but I didn't realize the kids and the parents had split, because so we started driving, and then as we went to go drive through them, that's where you see a big elephant bull charging towards your Land Cruiser, and you have to chuck it in reverse. Yeah, that was pretty sketchy. Probably hiking through Indonesia as well. There was a couple of moments as well where we had a guide with us, but he had obviously done this route a lot of times, and we got about 25 kilos on our back. He probably had more, actually. But yeah, he just turned around and just goes, "Oh, hold on." And then he disappears around the corner, and then you're holding onto a little bit of bamboo that's wide to a cliff face, and it's about a 400-meter vertical drop. So yeah, there isn't much room for error there. But yeah, I'd say I've had a lot of sketchy moments, but calculated risk. Yeah. To most people, they're like, "You're insane." And yeah, to me, it's like, it's all right. Yeah, I should get out of this alive. But
Clearly you have.
bumps and scratches, but yeah.
What's your favourite spot that you like to shoot? And I don't mean exact locations here, but where do you keep going to get a shot when you feel the itch?
Lately, if we just talk about South Australia, it's probably like the Flinders Ranges Air Peninsula. Peninsula it's great. It's like rugged and wild. It's lovely coastline, and not too many people venture out that way with photography, especially. So it's good. It's a different perspective, and a lot of inspiration out there. I surf as well, so I'll keep getting drawn back to that place. But yeah, I think it would probably either have to be Tasmania or Tonga, really. Tonga's just got, the water clarity is incredible, the reef systems, the fish and everything you see there, from the leopard sharks, tiger sharks and whatnot. It's pretty special out there. I think that's one of the things, like, from growing up in by the ocean since Nipper, was a young kid. Yeah, I've always connected with the ocean. Yeah. So I think being able to take my photography underwater and do that is a pretty special thing for me. And then there are a lot, but yeah, there's not a lot of photographers that really venture out to Tonga. You got your Craig Parrys, and there's that group that always go over there every year. But yeah, it's just special to me photographing underwater. And it's not just you can pick up a camera and jump underwater and expect to take good photos. It's you have to have some sort of experience in scuba diving or it's not just photography itself. It's a whole bunch of skills that have to come together to actually make. Yeah, that's.
If you could retire at one of the places you've shot, where would it be? And it doesn't have to be realistic.
Yeah, Tonga would be nice. Yeah, warm weather all year round and warm water. So
what's not to like?
Yeah, exactly. I think like Iceland would be nice though, or Namibia, Africa, somewhere in there would be incredible. It's you have the thing I said to a few people is Namibia is like Iceland, except instead of mountains, they do have mountains, but it's like sand dunes and warm. But then you also got the wildlife and a lot of like rich history as well. So I think I would probably either pick Tonga or like Southern Africa somewhere.
Nice. What do you think it is about these remote places that really pulls you towards it?
I would say it is a mixture of culture, landscape. I think like for me specifically is I do like a certain degree of difficulty, I guess. So they put some people off going there. So these places are a lot more like wild, remote. And I think that's what I like about it. Anyone can go to Iceland and take photos around that ring road, but it's like finding places in the highlands or the West Fjords that interests me a little bit more. It's difficult getting there and navigating through it, but then once you actually do it, it's a bit more special and quiet. You can go to Skogafoss and there's a few thousand people standing in front of the or you can go somewhere in the highlands and you probably won't see another car or another person until you leave that area. I think that's...
Yeah, you don't see a lot of shots from the Central Highlands there much at all. There's a few people that get in there and get some nice shots, but it's very rare to see.
Yeah. And a few people that we have seen up there have either been water's up to their door and they're sitting on the top of their car and it's flooded and in with a rescue crew and I do like those remote places. It's not obviously not as much photographed unless the locals go up there and do it. And it's just a more memorable experience. And I think that's why, as I said earlier, it's like we shoot in a team if anything does go wrong or we have other people to help us. But it's sharing it with those like-minded people.
Nice. What's the worst and or best piece of advice anyone's given you?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I wouldn't know about worst. I don't have a worst. Just filter that out if anyone says something silly.
Everyone ignores them.
Just ignore it.
But that's just crap. I'm not thinking about that anymore.
There's a lot of advice I've been given over the years, but I think one that wasn't given to me directly is the Elliot Grafton, and there was a few others there doing a talk. He launched a short about Namibia or traveling through Africa. Sorry, he said always have, or not always, but make sure you have a passion project as well, like along with your like corporate or client work, because if you keep going through client work over and over again, that's when you're going to burn out or stagnate in your shooting. So just being able to have a passion project, whether it's with a client or not, but something that you have full control over will always be inspired.
Do you find your client work tends to be more process driven? You've got set ways of making sure that you're efficient, because almost always with a client, there's usually a very tight time frame to get stuff back to them. How do you organize that? And how does that compare to your workflow when you're doing your own passion projects?
So with client work, it's obviously tight time and budget. So you take the car stuff that we do, there's like certain shots which we will reuse. And they might change to a degree depending on what we're shooting. But they can get very repetitive shooting that stuff. With personal, probably haven't done much shooting personally in the past like few months, which I was just busy with client work.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a difficult one for personal. Could you?
Well, how do the two approaches to your photography differ? Do you clearly, with a passion project, it's all about what's making your heart sing and making you think, okay, I really want to do this, compared to I have to do this because that feeds me and the family, etc. So I've got to go through, and I don't know about you, but for me, I tend to it's not formulaic all the time, but you tend to put in similar processes, and you tend to have a process so there's organizing the shoot, there's doing the shoot, there's getting the edits and everything done. And the edits usually don't, depending on what it is, they don't differ a great deal from one another. So if you've, say, taken 100 shots for a car ad or something, you're going to process them in much the same way because you are going to look for that consistent look.
Yeah.
Whereas with your own work, you might be a bit more freestyling. Is that the case for you? I know it is for me. I'm just interested in how.
I'd say I'll probably approach corporate and personal work the same, more or less. There's obviously a lot more freedom with my personal work, but when it comes to planning, I'd say probably about 80% of the shoots that I've done, whether personal or client, is planned. And then probably about 5% of that is shooting and the rest is editing, really. Because I really think planning is the biggest part of photography. And obviously you can go out without any planning and shoot and get great photos, which we've all done. But I would definitely say planning is the biggest one for me, just because, well, if it comes to weather and conditions, that's what I'm obviously looking for the most. You take Namibia, it's either foggy or sunny there, really. There's two conditions, so it's early morning or during the day, afternoon. You do get that softer light in the afternoon and mornings, obviously.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just where I want to shoot and what time, and the conditions. But then it's when I go to a place, it's usually for a long period of time. So I always make sure I have 3 to 4 days of actual shooting. And if I get the shots in the first few days, it's great. I get to explore a bit more of the area and maybe get some more stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all planning for me mainly. So it might seem like a bit, monotonous. It's always going into these shoots with a couple of weeks to a couple of months of planning. But it's for me, it's that's how I'll always get the stuff I capture.
I just find it fascinating the different ways that people approach their work, both corporate and personal work. And it's just interesting hearing from different people how they think about it.
Yeah. And I think especially going to an area say if you're traveling overseas, going to an area for a longer period of time and you manage to get your shots in the first few days, then you always have those last few to explore and capture. And so I think that's my main goal, is being able to capture that stuff and then get more intimate details or other landscapes about the area or learn about it a bit more, which sort of gives more of a story to it, I think. Yeah.
Have you ever struggled to find inspiration in your photography? And if so, how have you got yourself out of ruts that you might have got into?
Yeah, I would say I have definitely struggled to find inspiration. I think the perfect example is when I was, photographing 5-6 years ago, doing a lot of landscape work and was just shooting around SA a lot. And we have beautiful coastline here and it's great to get out there. But in SA in particular, the subjects are jetties, really. That's or whether it's the nice coastline down towards Sellex or Deep Creek, it's very similar. And I would say I became pretty uninspired to shoot around that time. I was sick of shooting the same subjects over and over again. So there's probably a point in my Instagram feed where you can see it goes from jetties to overseas wildlife and whatnot. And I think that was it for me. It was just like, I'm just doing corporate work and shooting beaches, and I actually want to take this story side that, from the documentary work I've done and apply it to my, I think that's changing location or the locations I shot was the big one. But then, the people I worked with as well, the group that we have that we shoot together, we inspire and push each other, which is, very good to have. I think if you're shooting alone quite a lot of the time, and it can get very hard, especially if you're doing the planning, the shooting and all the editing yourself or without anyone there, it can just, feel like it's just you and not against everyone, but
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Good to have a good support network. And
I guess with a group, you do pull each other up when when things aren't quite going the way that you'd like.
Yeah, exactly. And even whether it's personal or client work, we will pitch an idea for a shot, and it's like, how can we do this actively, or even just achieve it all together? And that's where sort of the team comes in, and it's bounce ideas off each other, and great for inspiration, and shooting as well. So shooting in teams is very helpful because that everyone sees different things at each location. So it does help.
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing photographers right now?
Oh, that is a tricky one. There'd be a lot of different things. We don't really use it, but I guess artificial intelligence might be a big thing. It's whether you spend all this time and money and whatnot going out to a place and you can achieve it with a still off Google and animate it or whatever. I would say the biggest challenge though would probably be like maybe trying to find your own identity. There's a lot of photographers out there, a lot of good photographers, and I wouldn't say there's many places in the world that haven't been shot. So trying to find originality, would probably be
interesting.
Just trying to develop your own look, really, or your own style, and capture things differently from the photographers you may follow or get inspired by. But that isn't a bad thing. My learning process has been replicating or mimicking photographers to understand how they've actually captured something, and then I can take certain aspects of that and apply it to my own work. It just, I guess it depends. I think social media is a great tool for photographers, but also it can be a bad tool as well.
Very much a double-edged sword. I think where a lot of people struggle is where they, particularly in terms of originality, is where they latch onto a trend that's going on and follow that trend without thinking about how that's actually impacting their own style and their own work. And there are photographers, obviously, that have developed ways of following a trend, but still keeping it interesting and keeping it different. But there are a lot of people that just follow the trend, and then the next trend comes along and then they follow that, as opposed to actually thinking a little bit about, okay, that's an interesting trend. How can I put my own spin on it?
Yeah. I think, one of the big things as well is, I know I have been guilty of this.
Oh, I think we all have. Yeah.
Like probably not posting or sharing your work, whatever format that is probably a big one as well. Yeah. Like I've said, I've got hundreds of thousands of photos, and I've probably only shared a couple of hundred to any social media platform. And I think that maybe it's probably self-criticism more than, I think, while, as we said, Instagram and social media can be a double-edged sword, I think just taking things from trends if you want to, or other photographers, applying it to your own work, and then just editing. And I hope other photographers have that group that can either critique or like direct. Like you to produce like a better final image is a very important thing. I think that's probably one of the big things, like especially our team, is it's criticism, but it's, what would be the word? It's criticism, and it might come across as producing bad work or this looks terrible, but it's like they're also helping direct you. And
constructive criticism is difficult, but if you know how to do it, you can actually help the person that you're doing the critique on to improve their work. And it's not about just pointing out, oh, that's bad. It's about saying, okay, here's how I would do this. And it might be not, don't copy what I'm saying or doing, but giving that critique in a way that people can actually take on board the feedback that they're getting, and not feeling bad about it is probably the most important part.
Yeah. And while this probably doesn't happen often, but a lot of photographers who like give feedback or whatnot, it's two things. I think our team wants to see everyone exceed, whereas you might have your photographer out there who, as bad as it sounds, probably doesn't want to see someone succeed or do.
No,
yeah. I've come across quite a few. So I think that's like the good thing, working with good people who want to see you succeed, but also want to keep working. The best way is to just give constructive criticism to people, and hopefully they take it well, but it's out of love. It's out of love that we do it.
Absolutely. What do you like to do when you're not doing photography?
Hiking, surfing, rock climbing. I think those things, so they go hand in hand with, my photography. It's like getting to these places or, experiencing them. I think I probably like surfing a little too much, and my business partners would, sort of, might get a little bit irritated at times, but it's like one of those things like we work 24/7 almost, like, so when there's opportunity to have time off, everyone's very understanding about it. So I think it keeps that sanity a little bit. But just spending time outside. Yeah. I also like building Lego. So
what's the latest Lego project?
I just did the Jaws boat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The shark coming over the back of the boat.
Oh.
Yeah. Scene from with the Jaws film. Great. I actually had to watch Jaws. You have to watch Jaws while you're doing that. So
absolutely.
It was great.
How long did that take you?
1.5 Jaws films. So halfway through the second Jaws film before it was complete.
So about 3 and a bit hours then.
Something about around there. Yeah.
4 hours there. All right, we're just about done. I've got a couple of questions for you. One, you've already named a few fantastic photographers, but who else do you think I should be talking to on the show?
Ooh, I think I'd say it's like one of the people which we've worked with, Riley Lockett. He's a fantastic photographer, and originally a Wakery boy, but he lives up in Banff at the moment, or he has been for the past 3-4 odd years. So he's a great person to work with, but he's also done some incredible things with just pushing the boundaries. And I think he's probably one of the perfect ones to talk about borrowing ideas and applying them to his own work. He's very creative, and when it comes to achieving shots, if we have an idea for a shot, he's always probably one of the first people that I'll reach out to in terms of how to actually achieve this look. And then I'll probably just end up listing the entire team, really. Aaron Scheffner is another one. He's a Canadian, actually moving down to Melbourne this next couple of weeks. So it'd be exciting doing some more work with him on Australian soil.
Yeah, nice.
And my business partner, Mark Lorenko, he's very good at coming up with ideas for stories and shoots and whatnot. He started out as a lifestyle photographer, and he's mixed with landscape, obviously.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mark's work.
Yeah, he does well. He actually, his last trip was Iceland with his.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, they had a great time up there. He's definitely one to speak to. And then, they don't really use Instagram, but the directors I've worked with, like Joffrey Reed and the DPs, Aaron Gully and whatnot, they're just incredible at what they do, really. Like,
fantastic. Thank you for that. The last question is one that I've been asking since pretty much the beginning, I think, except for episode 1. And I recently published some result on this question. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
It's a love-hate relationship, really. Warm weather, yeah, pineapple on pizza is nice, but if it's, I guess if traditional pizzas, like I'm a margarita type person, I would say 99.9% out of the time, I probably wouldn't have pineapple on pizza.
Fair enough. Okay. That makes sense.
It's good to enjoy every now and then, but
Yeah, it's not an everyday food.
I definitely, if I was making pizza, I probably wouldn't put pineapple on it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Let's say no to that one.
All right. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, Harry. I've really enjoyed our chat. Where can people find your work?
Instagram and TV.
Awesome.
You might see some ads during the cricket or whatnot.
Fair enough. All right. Thank you so much, mate. It's been great having a chat.
No, thank you very much, Gron. It's been a pleasure. It's had a great time.
Cheers. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.